I think we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Katy Friedman, founder of Flexible Working People, and I'm really excited to be joined today by Lyn Constantine, who is the Customer Success Manager for EMEA for Supermums, and also Ana-Marie Guzu, who is a proud graduate of Supermums Alumni, who is going to share her incredible story of how she transformed her career and made a successful career transition from sales manager to a Salesforce administrator in just 5 months. And we love having alumni on. We love having these types of conversations because I think it's all about inspiring others that you can do it. And when I first started talking to Ana-Maria and she told me her story, I was like hanging on every word. I literally was like, this sounds amazing. And, we talk a lot about our partners and how people are looking for career change, but actually bringing it to life in a really real form and introducing to people who have been there, done it, who can help share their story and maybe give you some inspiration to do it is exactly why we do these things. So just to give you a bit of background to Supermums, they are experts in helping people relaunch their careers, especially if you're a parent, and they know exactly what it takes to do that. And with 45 million mums and technology being one of the fastest growing sectors, they're really keen to attract more women into tech. And I think there's this real fear of tech and what that means. But I think that people shouldn't be afraid because Supermums makes it incredibly accessible for people to transition and train for careers in tech. And it's just such a lucrative industry. And so, they bang the drum every day, and so do we, to say, don't be afraid of tech. Like, this is an incredible opportunity to have a really fulfilling career and also with great earning potential. They've helped over 1,000 mums already and dads globally to upskill and train in Salesforce and find well-paid jobs that fit around their life and their lifestyle. So we're really thrilled to have them as a partner, and we love these opportunities to tell their stories and to help people to understand what these types of opportunities are. So today, Ana-Maria is going to tell her story of, as I said, how she transitioned from sales manager to a Salesforce administrator. And Lyn is going to talk to you about a masterclass that they're running tonight and tomorrow, where you can join and find out more about what this opportunity is. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for the invitation, Katy. And thank you, Lyn, for thinking of me and sharing my story.
Great. So Ana-Maria, we're going to start with you, and we're going to just start at the beginning. And if you could just tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you found Supermums. What was your job? What stage were you at in your career? And what did that look like? And what led you to Supermums?
Yes. So essentially for me, my career really started about 10 years ago. I've joined the company I'm still in today as really a secretary. But I've done so many things since. I've just upskilled myself and just going from, I wear so many hats there. Like I've been into marketing, into, financing until I settled down in sales. So I've done sales for a few years, and then I've been offered a sales manager position for which I have for a couple of years now. But, I've always felt like I was okay. The industry was fine. I was keep up growing. But I guess what made me think of a change was the fact that I really wanted to be part of something bigger, like a very mission-led company where you make a difference in the world in sense of to a larger scale users, not necessarily just as a commercial industry. And so I just had a chat with my manager back then, and I said, I want to look into something else. We had a very good open relationship, so I could just go and say this. And said, okay. I said, I'm going to take a month and just look around and see where we are. And so we decided about like six months transition. And so I've discovered Salesforce, and I'm like, okay, this really appealed to me. I went on to Trail. I've done some Trail modules, and I really, really liked it. But then I thought there's so much to it. How will I even learn everything? And I don't think I've realized later on that you won't be able to learn everything in Salesforce just like that. I said, the type of person and the type of learner I am, I said I need something very structured, very well organized. And so that's how I discovered Supermums. And I've looked around for a while. I've checked their fees as you normally would, right? Because it's financial part as well. And I took about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I said maybe I will try and do it by myself, and maybe don't spend that money into it. And so I've looked around again. I've tried and done some module. I've tried and do some structure for myself into getting the certification of Salesforce administrator. And I said, I think I'll be better off with Supermums. And that's how I found them. That's how I find. I think it was a blog was some sort of video of Heather presenting the Supermums, and I was like, and the structure and everything else. And I said, yes, that's definitely for me.
Okay. And so I think it's really interesting because when we were speaking, you just said now that you spent some time. There are free courses available to learn Salesforce, and I think that people talk about those. And what people find is that they lack the structure and they lack the support. And so you said that you started to do the training yourself, but it just didn't offer you. It was just not structured enough. So it's interesting to hear that from you, because I think that sets Supermums apart in quite a big way, that you offer so much. They offer so much support and training. What would be helpful just to understand from the offset, and maybe Lyn or Ana-Marie, you could just tell us, what are you actually training to do? What is Salesforce? So for people who really don't even understand what Salesforce is before we get any further into the journey, I think maybe we should just take a step back and say, tell us what Salesforce is, and then what does the role mean? Because I think that there might just be a lack of understanding about what it actually is.
Right. Okay. When I came across, if I can answer this, Lyn, when I came across Salesforce, I was like, what on earth is this? Because I don't have IT background, none at all. I've never been working in the only thing where I touched tech was where I had to configure some sort of CRM within the organization I've been on. And I'm like, okay, what is Salesforce? It sounds, it starts with sales, and everyone just assumes it's about sales. But it's not. It's not only about sales. It's for so much more. So obviously, it's a customer management, relationship management system platform where it solves so many of businesses' problem in terms of you could certainly be able to have all of your data in, all of your records in, all of your information about your client. It helps you track the journeys of your client, being that whether you are an industry in finance, whether you are non-profit, whether you are any type of industry, they have products for every single type of an organization out there. And so what we were taught to do within the Supermom course was to be trained and be a Salesforce administrator. So what will the main values and the main skills that will a Salesforce administrator be was to essentially either configure and implement Salesforce for a company they didn't use it before, or was being an administrator for an organization they have already had Salesforce, where you will configure and help user, and you will maintain the daily use of the platform itself. So you definitely had to know a lot of the back end, how to run all that. So that's why I said this at the beginning, where I was trying to learn this by myself. But there are so many areas, and only by the trailhead themselves, only if you do the module themselves, I found it that is not as easy to understand the processes and the use cases and everything else. And what I found within Supermums, what I liked the most of it, actually, in terms of the technical part of the course, was that you will have the trailheads to do. You will have some modules that you will have to go on doing and every week. But the part I loved the most was the fact they will give you a use case, a case scenario, and then you will practice whatever you learn based on that. And for me, that was extremely valuable, because it's one thing to know how to do something technical. And that's another thing to know when someone comes to you, like, for example, a non-technical user with some sort of situation where I want this, transcribe this into technique and do it for me. So I think that this part of the course was extremely essential to be able to make them transition into Salesforce itself, to be able to find a job, to be able to actually reassure the company you're going to, I know how to do this. I know how to support the non-technical user when they come to me with all requirement. I know how to transfer that into a technical and configure this within Salesforce. And I think that was the best thing in terms of, besides all the community and everything else, I'm sure we talk about this in a while. But that was something that you want to, I did not fund by myself to be able to do that, because they will give us a specific org, a specific development org, where we could just get hands-on with it. Where by yourself, or at least I couldn't find anyone, and I took amount of research to do so.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. So having that sort of live experience brought it all to life for you, as opposed to just like learning the theory all the time. Like that can be hard. So actually being in a real business where it's actually being used and you can see real life problems and challenges, like completely brings it to life. So that makes total sense. So I'm just interested, because you were a sales manager before and now you've moved into quite a different role. What are the skills that you think were essential or are essential to become good at being a Supermum or a Salesforce admin? So, because when you were in your sales role, presumably it was quite different to what it is now. So what do you think the transferable skills would be?
They are certainly different, but I think it's up to every single one of us to learn those to know what skills we have from the previous jobs. And I think Supermum was, again, very helpful in this direction. They have some accelerations course skills that you can just go in part of the course, and they will just learn, and they will just teach you how to look at your previous role and then find those skills that you had and then transfer them into the new Salesforce ecosystem where you will be part of. And for me, probably the biggest one was the fact that I was able to actually understand the business processes. I was able to make that transition between stories and then transfer them into technical, and was just a managing of all sorts of different personality, different people. Obviously in Salesforce you will have to discuss with different stakeholders. You will have from CEOs to directors to engineers and everyone in between, because you essentially are the person who holds that platform. So your communication is key. But what I would say to everyone is, doesn't matter if you don't have this, because I am sure you will have something else. As opposed to, I remember having one of the courses where a lady was saying, I'm a mom and I've been a mom for 6 months, but for 6 years, but that's okay, because on the daily life, you run so many things on such a tight schedule having a child.
Yeah.
that particular skill, it's in itself very important. And I think I've seen people from teaching transferring to Salesforce, and that's amazing, because it's definitely something that's needed for training the non-technical user. I've seen military background, so you will won't imagine how many different people. You don't have to be from a particular background. That's how I feel. I feel everyone can bring something unique into perspective, and that's just amazing. That's what offers the very wide spectrum, and you don't have to stick to Salesforce administrator. You have so many things that you could go from left to right, whatever it suits you, and in which industry suits you, because it's so widely used.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that your particular journey is really interesting. So I'd love you to share yours, because I was going to ask you, did you do the training while you were still working? Because a lot of people who are thinking about retraining question, well, do I need to leave my job? Like, how does that look? So it'd be helpful for you just to share what your journey was in terms of, the training, because you were in your job while you were training.
Yes.
And actually it was really interesting. So you can tell that part of the story.
Yeah. So I was still working full time, and obviously a full-time mom as well as a wife, as you imagine, takes a lot of time for all of this. But that's another reason why I chose Supermums, because they will ask 16 hours of your time a week. And so there will be 3 hours of live training. But if you couldn't make it, you could just watch it it was recorded, so you could watch it later on whenever you had the time. But for me, I was perfect, because I'm a very early person. So I wake up at 5 and have my 2 hours learning every day. before the everything else kicks off, the day kicks off, and then I will be able to learn later on in the evening after my daughter went to sleep, for example, after I finish my work and all the house chores, right? So that flexibility was so important for me, because I wouldn't be able to do working hours because I still had to work. And so the fact that you will have then 16 hours spread throughout the week, whatever time it suits you, was definitely perfect for me. And so that's how I manage it: 2 hours in the morning, another 2 or 1 in the evening whenever I had the chance. And the support from, I'm sure we talk about this as well, but I'm just going ahead of myself here. We'll have a mentor that will be assigned to you, and as opposed to all of the trainers that are there to support you, you will have someone that will help you with the homework. You will have homework every week. So essentially, you will have suggested some specific trailhead that you will do, and that is really what that means. Just to give you a bit of more understanding for someone that haven't heard of Salesforce before, you will have specific instructions. So, for example, how would you configure a security for a particular user? So there will literally be from A to Z a guide of how to do that. And then after you went through that, and they were very specific to those weeks of learning, and then after you finish that, you will have the homework I was talking about earlier, where you will need to have that. You will actually put in practice whatever you learn, but here you won't actually have the instruction. So then it will give you the opportunity to see how much did I understood of this topic. And so, whenever you were stuck, you will have a mentor that you can reach out to, and you will have a one-to-one every week with them. And I can't say I was blessed with the best possible mentor. She's amazing. We're still in touch. She helped me every step of the way. And what I love was that they won't give you, do this, from just a very specific A to Z. They will say, have you thought of this? Or they've actually let you try to get to the bottom of the problem. And I think it's so important, because whenever you're going to be in the job, you need to be able to have that problem solving skill into how to find to do that. So that was amazing. And that was also within then 16 weeks. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were weeks where you possibly could have 14, it depending on the topics. You could probably run at 17, 18 weeks, but was quite well structured and know what was going on every single week.
So just to clarify, it's 16 weeks, 16 hours a week as well?
20 weeks, 16 hours.
20
if I'm
weeks.
right, nothing changed.
20 weeks, 16 hours. Okay. And you, I mean, you sound like a superhero, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing 2 hours and then doing it again in the evening. I'm not sure I'd be cut out for that. I get a bit upset when my alarm goes off at 6:30, but that is proper dedication. So I'm super impressed. But I also want you just to share the story of how you came, because you found that Salesforce, while you were learning it, was something that you felt that the company that you were working with could benefit from. And so I love that. So you have to tell people about that, because that's a really interesting part of your story.
Yes, again, I think I was very lucky here, because the relationship I have with the manager was just so amazing. And then after 3 weeks after I started, what actually do you want to do? And then we had about this discussion, I remember, was about 3-4 hours long about Salesforce. And I'm like, I was super excited. I was keep going on and on. I became a Salesforce advocate at that point. And like, this could solve so many of your business problems. There are so many things that could just run in Salesforce, and then you don't have to have all of your data running through all these spreadsheets, to all these different CRM that they don't really communicate one to another. And he took a couple of weeks, and he came back to me. He said, do you know what, Anna, let's just do it. Let's just implement it in our company. I'm like, wow, that's massive. I'm so happy that that's the case. And because I was so excited about the platform and everything, I said, you're going to be project manager, and you're just going to work with the consultancy, and let's implement it into our company, and let's start using it. And that was so valuable to me, because I think I was about 4 or 6 weeks within the course. And so I've stopped being a sales manager at that point, and then I took over the Salesforce implementation for the organization I was in. And so that's how everything started. And it was so important for me because everything that I will learn at that point, I will kind of transfer into what the organization will need. And that's why I just found it so useful and I understood so much easier. And I think if you could just for every single one of the trainees, I think if you can just take a case and think of a situation where it's best used to be used, it's going to be much easier to understand the processes and to understand all of the functionalities. And so yes, that exposed me to so very different people and very different stakeholders. I've learned so much through it, and I took a jump into taking the certification itself ahead of finishing the course, and I was so pleased I passed it the first time. Yes, well, that was an amazing feeling, because after that, how much the hard work was just, I couldn't believe it in a way. I trusted my knowledge. I knew I could do it, but you always have that doubt on an exam, don't you? Like, oh, will I be good enough? Will I be able to pass it? Yeah, I was very pleased to do so.
Amazing. So I love your story. So when did you start your training?
Was May this year.
Okay, and we're now in December, and where are you now in your journey?
So have my certification. I've also, thanks to Supermums, they've made an amazing, they are just there for you from start to finish. So they put me in contract with a non-profit organization where I also had an amazing time with them in sense. So I was a solo admin there, where I could just implement Salesforce from start to finish. And that has gave me such a big prospect in terms of, or the other, there's really the job I have with Doors for UK is where I implement it, but more from the client point of view, where you need to make sure you go through the story, you go to the business processes, and then communicate all that into the technical support where they will just configure and build and so on. But with the nonprofit organization, I had to do everything by myself. And so that was just, again, thanks to Supermums, was an amazing experience, because you just have to do. I think I was lucky because they were new to Salesforce, so I had to create and configure and build and test from the beginning, everything from them to make sure it's working as they would. And so now my project, the non-profit organization project, has finished now. And moving forward, I'm definitely for new years, looking like for new opportunities as well.
I think what's amazing though is that, I mean, you've talked about the support, and I want to get maybe a bit more into that, but from right from the start, through the mentorship, the training, the support of the cohort, to even helping find you a job, like it's really an end-to-end wraparound care, if that makes sense. And that's quite unusual. I think that, most companies, you'll go and you'll do the training, and then they'll sort of put you out and you'll put yourself out into the world. From all of the alumni that I've met and everybody who's done sales for Supermums or the training with you guys, they've been completely instrumental, Supermums, in helping them find their next role. And that's like really incredible, because you're not just sort of thrown out into the marketing right now, I've got to find a job. I'm just interested, and they're like, are there lots of different types of jobs that are available within the Salesforce ecosystem?
Certainly there are, yes. But on just to touch very quickly on what you said earlier, how I think at Supermums, coming from a sales background and retail, I think of it as a full service. Yeah. So you literally get from start to finish, you get the training, and then you get the support of an experienced person that's actually working in Salesforce, and then being there with you every step of the way. And then you also get to collaborate with a nonprofit organization in configure everything they need. But after, this is like aftercare service. You have this community that is just amazing. We have this WhatsApp group. Like whenever I'm stuck on something, or if I don't know how to configure something, you will never know anything. And I'm just super impressed of how quick quick people come back to you. Like you will think, oh, no one's going to answer to me. But if you literally in 10, 15 minutes, someone will, because someone probably just had that issue before and they know how to solve it. And this is an ongoing support. And besides the Supermums group and the employees and the staff, you get every single one of the trainees that they've been trained with Supermums, that they most likely work in Salesforce as well. They are very willing to support each other. You know, it's like certainly like that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same with Supermums. They really are like my village in terms of Salesforce. They are amazing in supporting. And in terms of sort of jobs in Salesforce, I mean, I could go on and on because there are so many, but if we are talking about the Salesforce admin course, then you will essentially become a Salesforce administrator certified. And so you could take very different routes, like Salesforce product manager, you know, you could be definitely Salesforce administrator, you could be solution engineer. There are many other jobs to follow. But I think the starting point within Salesforce will be Salesforce administrator.
Okay. And I think, listen, everybody's interested in the financial side of this, so we can't not talk about it. But one of the things that I hear a lot is that Salesforce opportunities offer you a lucrative salary. It's, it pays well. They're a good, you can actually make your salary and more with Salesforce. So it's not like you train and then you can't find a job that pays your bills. So just tell me in your experience what that looks like. You don't have to tell us.
I'm so happy you touched base on this, because I was over the weekend, I saw a friend and she actually trained for actually learning coding. And we were talking salaries in terms of entry levels for doing that, being a developer and general development, and then actually the entry levels for Salesforce. And it's a massive difference. So for me, I was lucky enough, I didn't have to take when you change career, you will expect you'll kind of have to take some pay cut, but I didn't. So I was extremely lucky then. I think possibly it depends on everyone's circumstances, but like the starting point, if we start to talk number, it's like the very, very, mid very junior role will be around 35K a year. I think Lyn probably, you know a lot more than me. But that's probably the starting point. And then sky is the limit, right? There are even jobs that you could end up on 45, 50, 55. It does depend on your previous experience as well and what you can bring to the table as well. But yes, in terms of, if you were around that mark, 35 a year, then you don't have to take a loss right then on a monthly basis, because most of whoever is a parent knows that you cannot afford to do that, because really you have all the nursery or all the other stuff to pay around, so you won't be able to afford to do that. So that's something that I've definitely researched at the beginning as well, because that was, maybe no one wants to talk about money, but they are so important. This is the daily life of it. So I was like, what can I do that won't impact my financing, my financial situation? And upon research, I found that definitely Salesforce is the way to go.
I agree. And I think that, people question it, and, that often there's what does it really mean? Is that really true? But all the people I've spoken to, you do your training and you are ready to go into a role, and the starting salaries are, as you said, at 35. It's very clear cut. It's very transparent. You do the training and then you apply for a role and you're supported in doing that. So I just think it's such an incredible opportunity. We're running out of time and I want to bring Lyn in, but I also just want to talk briefly about the flexibility, because obviously as a flexible working community and as somebody who champions flexible working, and obviously, you're training a lot of mums and people who need that flexibility. What does that look like as careers in Salesforce offer you that level of flexibility that you need?
There are very little jobs I saw out that they will require you to be 5 days in the office. most of them are either fully remotely or hybrid roles. I'm a people person, so I like interaction. I wouldn't mind really being in the office a few days a week, but it's also important to be able to pick up your child, drop-offs, and so on. So yes, they are definitely. This is definitely an industry for flexible working.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ana-Marie, for sharing your story. I definitely, I loved hearing it. I think you're definitely inspiring lots of people who are thinking about career change to think about Supermums. Lyn, I just want to bring in, is there anything that you want to add to what Ana-Marie is saying? I know you want to talk about the masterclass that's running tonight and tomorrow. So do you want to add anything to the picture?
Yeah, so in terms of Ana-Marie, I mean, this is the reason that I chose Ana-Marie to come on today, because what an amazing story. And thank you so much for coming on. That was just amazing. As always, we've had many a conversation about this. And, moving forward, of course, we've got the recruitment section, as you touched on. And obviously, they will always help you with your career progression as well. So, in terms of finances, what you can expect to earn. As you rightly said, Ana-Marie, you are looking at a starting salary of about 35,000. But the longer you've been in the role and the more you have to give, so people know that you don't just have your transferable and your technical skills, you've also had the knowledge working in the industry. Obviously, the more you do that, the higher the salary you can ask for. So no, absolutely. And I think in terms of the next the sessions that we're talking about that I've come on to mention, and that is all about anybody that wants to upskill and just wants to know a little bit more. So we've got 2 days. Well, it's actually 3 days, because day 1 and day 2 is the masterclass. Day 1 is with Heather, and day 2 is how to sell yourself into a job role. It's just in terms of times, Monday, which is tonight, is the 11th. It's 90 minutes, and it's on an exclusive Facebook channel. So make sure that you sign up. I'm hoping that Katy can drop the links in. It will be 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So about a 90-minute session both days. And then also Shellin, Shellin Briand, who you may or may not have met. She's over in the States, and we work quite closely together. She's going to be doing a discovery day at the same time on Wednesday, so the 13th. So you've got the 11th, 12th and 13th, where there are people you can talk to, who can advise and help on, if it's something, it might not be something for you, but obviously by talking to us, it's something that you can decide if you want to move forward with.
Exactly. So thank you for that, Lyn. So yes, so definitely, if you're interested in this, I would encourage you to register for this masterclass. And even if you can't attend it live, which obviously would be better if you could, because then you can ask questions and engage, at least you've registered, and then you can have a chat with the Supermums teams offline or sort out another conversation. What I'll do is I'll pop some links into the thread. So a lot of people will be listening to this on replay later, because a lot of people at work today, we don't always get all the live audience. So if you are watching this on replay later, please do still register. It starts tonight at 8, but there's lots of masterclasses. You're running masterclasses all the time, which we promote. So if you miss this one, you can get on another one, or you can just set up a separate time to speak to somebody. I'm sure Ana-Marie would be delighted to share her experiences. So we'll tag her. And if you've got any questions, there's Lyn, and Heather is always popping in and out of the group. So there's never a time when you won't be able to find someone from Supermums to talk to. So I just wanted to thank you both so much for joining me. Ana-Marie, I really loved hearing your story. I feel, really passionate about what you do at Supermums. I feel like for our audience and our community, it opens up such an enormous opportunity for people who are, thinking about changing their career, and people get really stuck. And I think that just opening up the lid and showcasing these types of stories is just so important. It just shows you that actually there are other opportunities out there flexible and great careers. And, you know, tech is such a enormous opportunity for people. So we always fly the flag and bang the drum for Supermums. So
Thank
so thank you, Lyn, as well. And I'll see you both soon.
Thanks, Katy. Thanks for having us today.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.